Good day, listeners and viewers. My name is Stacey Carmichael, and today I am joined by the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, the Honorable Mohabir Anil Nandlall, where he will address a developing issue on West Coast Berbice. Now, Minister, it's a pleasure having you on the program today.
Thank you
Now,
very much.
you're welcome. Now, we're here to address an issue relating to Mr. Lincoln Lewis, where he claims he owns a village on the west coast of Berbice, Kingelly. Could you address that matter?
Thank you very much. So, for the benefit of your viewers, Kingelly Village is a village located on the west coast of Berbice. I have done some work in relation to the village, so I am able to tell you that based upon the research which I have done, Kingelly Village has been under occupation for over 100 years. Apparently, historically, it at some point in time may have been under private ownership. And I'm speaking about 100 and more years ago. Nobody can find the root title for the village. So, for all intent and purposes, the land is there and has been public lands. And persons over the past 100 years have gone on the land and have, by their own acquisitive efforts, have been able to obtain legal titles for portions of lands that they have been occupying. Prescriptive title being the main mechanism by which they have given themselves title. Lincoln Lewis, for several years now, has been making an allegation that his ancestors owned this village. He has never been able to produce a document of title establishing his claim. Lands in Guyana are owned by two methods. Privately owned, that is, by two methods: by a transport or by a certificate of title. This gentleman has been unable to produce either of these documents, either in his name or in anyone's name. No such document has ever been produced by him. Yet he keeps making this fanciful, vacuous allegation. And periodically, he goes into the village and he creates mayhem. He commits violence, he commits trespass, he breaks down people's fence, and he maliciously damages people's property. The police have been called in on many occasions. Today, he has done the same. The police have been notified, and hopefully, this time around, they will act and act in accordance with the law in the most condign possible manner. Let me say this. Anyone can make assertions about land ownership, but mere assertions does not crystallize into land title, doesn't crystallize into legal ownership. One has to follow certain steps before one becomes titled to property in Guyana legally, either by transport, as I said, or certificate of title. And there are many mechanisms by which this can be achieved. By inheritance, you have to probate a will or apply for letters of administration in respect of the estate of some deceased person once you are qualified to do so. You can make an application for prescriptive title if you have occupied the land in a particular way and for a particular period. You can get property by sale, by purchasing it, and you get transport or title in your name. You can get it by gift, by a similar instrument called a deed of gift, and then transferring it into your name, by either by the transport system or the certificate title system. You simply can't walk around saying that this land is yours or used to belong to some relative of yours, and that gives you some entitlement to the land and authorizes you to enter upon the land and destroy people's properties who are on the land. Now, these properties, these people who are on the land, many of them have transports for the land that they are occupying. So they are actually the owners of the land. Yet this gentleman walks around in the village claiming that he owns all the land. I don't understand what is possessing this gentleman. I recall President Granger had established a commission of inquiry to inquire into this concept of ancestral lands or something of that sort. I read in the newspapers that Lincoln Lewis had appeared before that tribunal. I don't know what came out of it. I don't know whether he was able to establish a case or not. But that tribunal, in any event, could not give him title to land. He has never approached the courts of Guyana, through which you can go and get title by prescription. And as I said, he has no document recognized by the laws of Guyana entitling him to ownership or possession of any piece of land in this locality called Kingelly. In between 2016 to 2019, the residents of that village, many of them, 25 or more of them, engaged me while I was in private practice because we were in the opposition. And I filed 25 applications for prescriptive title for people who have been living there for decades. Each of these applications were required to be advertised or published in the official gazette and in one daily newspaper circulating in the country. Those advertisements were done and those publications were made. They are intended to permit anyone who has a claim or believes he has a claim to those lands to file what is called a notice of opposition and to contest the application being filed for title by prescription. Lewis, no doubt, was aware of these publications. They are not one, there are 25 of them. He never opposed a single one. You know why? Because he could not come to a court of law and establish any claim or color of right to those lands. So many of those applications were granted, and the people were granted transports, establishing them as owners of the land. Yet he still goes around masquerading and making himself a public nuisance and a private nuisance to the people in the village. Today I am told that he went there again, broke down fences, trespassing on people's private property, and trying to erect some permanent concrete structures where the people are living. At one point in time, I heard him say that the lands that the people have transport for, he's not saying that he owns that anymore. But he owns every piece of vacant land in the village for which people don't have transports. So the village is a farming village. There is a pasture where the people graze their animals, their cows, their sheep, their goats. There are canals in the village that irrigates the village. He claims he owns all those pastures, those canals, all the dams, all the streets. And I believe currently he's attempting to block streets with permanent concrete structures. Because he's claiming that what all the unoccupied lands and all the lands for which no one has title, he is the owner somehow. Absolute madness. If at all there is no ownership of lands in Guyana, the principle is that it goes back to the state, because the state is the repository owner of all that is not personally owned in Guyana. That is a principle of English law that we inherited from colonialism and from the English legal system that was supplanted in this country. So this might become a big issue, because you will hear discrimination, you will hear police brutality, you will hear the government wants to take away land from certain people in this country. So I thought I will do this statement so that persons would be apprised of the background and true facts relating to this matter. Significantly, the composition of this village is a mixed one. There are Indo-Guyanese there, there are Afro-Guyanese there, and there are a lot of mixed Guyanese there, mixed races people there. I know that because I visited the village. I had this engagement with them when Lincoln Lewis one time went there, and I said then that the people should defend their properties. The law accords everyone the right to defend himself and his or her property. There's a complete defense in law. You can't come to my house and try to break my house or steal my house or my property, and I am helpless. The law allows you to defend your property. And I had called upon the people since then to defend their property. The police, I am told, have been engaged. The people have reported the matter, and I hope that the police will take the necessary action.
Thank you very much, AG. Just one last question before you wrap up on the issue now. Once the residents make their reports to the police, what would be the next step after that in terms of the state? You did mention that the state, once there's no prescriptive rights, the state owns these lands. So what would be the next step?
The next step that the police will take?
No, the next step that the government can take, or the state rather.
Well, if it is that it is the state's land, then the state can take control of the land and allocate it as titles to those who are residing. The land also falls under the administration of the MMA because it's in Region 5. And once it is state lands, providing that it is state lands, it falls under the administration of the MMADA scheme by law. In fact, when I did my history, at one time, MMA had done an occupational survey of the whole land on the assumption that the state owns it after they can't find any root title to the land. And they had done an occupational survey in 2007 with the intent of regularizing occupation, meaning issuing title based upon that occupational survey to the persons who are in occupation. I looked at the survey plan up to today. It was done in 2007. Unfortunately, at the time, For whatever reason, MMA never concluded the exercise. So the matter was shelved. But the government or MMA may have to reconsider the matter now and to, as part of the steps to bring this matter to a conclusive end, continue that process and have these people issued with their title. So you formalize their ownership. But, you know, certainly, this is not the time of conquest where you walk around or you ride around on a horseback and anything that is vacant you conquer. That used to happen 600 years, 700 years ago. Lincoln Lewis seems to want to do that now. The law will not tolerate that.
Thank you very much, E.G. If there is nothing else to add, we'll just wrap up today's.
Thank you very much for affording me the opportunity to speak on this issue.
You're welcome, E.G. And thank you very much to our viewers and listeners. My name is Stacey Carmichael, and I was joined by the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, the Honorable Anil Nandlall. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.